Someone says something nice to you. Not over the top, just genuine. "I'm really glad you came," or "I was thinking about you earlier," a normal thing. And you smile, say thanks, move on. But 3 hours later, you're still thinking about it. You replay the exact way they said it. And you realize you've been carrying that one sentence around like it's the most important thing anyone said to you in months, over something that, for them, probably took 2 seconds. That reaction, the one where something small stays with you for way too long, it's not random. It's something a lot of women carry and almost never say out loud. You know what being loved looks like. You could describe it, you've watched it, given advice about it to friends who haven't. But there's this gap between knowing love is there and actually feeling it land. Someone says, "I love you," and you hear the words, register them, and feel nothing. Or worse, you feel the absence more sharply right after they say it. And it's not that nobody tries. People try. But when someone does something kind, a compliment, a gesture, a moment where they're actually showing up, something in you flinches before you can feel it. Your brain runs it through a filter first. They're just being polite. They don't really mean it like that. Give it a week. There's actually a term for this. It's called an emotional deprivation schema. It's a pattern where your brain genuinely believes, at a level deeper than logic, that your emotional needs won't be met by other people. Not that they shouldn't be, that they won't be. So your system stops expecting, and when something warm does get through, it treats it like a mistake instead of something real. That's why a hug can feel hollow even when the person means it. That's why you can be surrounded by people who care about you and still feel like the loneliest person in the room. And the exhausting part isn't the loneliness itself. It's what you do to make up for it. You overgive. You become the friend who remembers everything, shows up first, carries the emotional weight of every relationship you're in. Not because you're naturally generous, but because somewhere in the back of your mind you believe that if you stop being useful, the love stops. So you earn it. Every single day. You text first. You check in. You plan. You hold space. And when someone gives you the bare minimum back, you talk yourself into calling it enough. Because asking for more feels greedy. And the one time you did ask, the silence that followed taught you not to try again. Psychologists call this the overfunctioning pattern. You take on more emotional labor than your share, not because nobody else would, but because staying busy keeps you from sitting with the feeling underneath. The giving isn't generosity. It's a painkiller. And the cost is that everyone around you starts to believe you don't need anything. You've made it so easy for them to never ask. And when they don't ask, it confirms the exact thing you were already afraid of. So you've got a gap between knowing you're loved and actually feeling it. A filter that blocks warmth before it reaches you. And a pattern of giving everything just to avoid sitting with how empty it feels when you stop. None of that showed up by accident. But where it actually started, that's the part most people skip. And it matters. Because not every version of this comes from the same place. Some women grew up in homes where love was technically present but never really felt. Parents who were there. Physically in the house, food on the table, routine intact, but emotionally somewhere else. Not cruel, not neglectful in any way you could point to, just not tuned in. You didn't get yelled at, but you also didn't get seen. And that kind of absence is harder to explain than something that left a mark. What that creates is called childhood emotional neglect, and the difficult thing about it is that it's defined by what didn't happen, not what did. No event, no story you can tell at dinner. Just a long, quiet lack of emotional attunement that taught your brain one lesson early. Don't expect to be met, and that lesson followed you into every relationship you've had since. But there's a second version that looks almost identical from the outside. Some women didn't learn to wall off love because no one showed up. They learned it because love always came with a price. A parent who was warm when they needed something from you. A home where your job was to manage everyone else's feelings before your own even registered. Love wasn't missing. It was conditional. And the lesson wasn't don't expect to be met. It was love means disappearing into someone else's needs. One is a wall you built because nobody came. The other is a debt you've been repaying since before you knew what it was. And here's the part that matters. That feeling where love is right there and you can't reach it, where someone's trying and it still doesn't land, where you're lying next to someone and feel more alone than when you're actually by yourself, that's not proof of anything permanent. It's not confirmation that you're too much or not enough or broken in some way everyone else can see but you. It's a learned response. Your brain built that filter when you were too young to know what was happening, and learned responses have one thing that permanent flaws don't. They can shift. Not fast, not easy. But the fact that you're sitting here recognizing yourself in this means the filter isn't airtight anymore. That moment, someone saying something genuinely kind to you and realizing you've been replaying it for hours, that wasn't you being too sensitive. That was your body finally keeping score of what it's been missing. You were never hard to love. You just got so used to earning it that you forgot you were allowed to just stand still and receive it. If you want to understand why you keep choosing people who confirm this pattern instead of breaking it, I'm working on that one next. Subscribe so it finds you.